One, given y equals 2x plus 5, write an equation that is parallel. Parallel means they have the same slope with a y-intercept of -4. So we're going to change that y-intercept to -4. So let's do this here. Same slope. Your slope is the coefficient in front of x. So we're going to start off and say y equals 2 is my slope. And then we need to change the y-intercept to -4. There's our answer. Given y equals -1/2 x minus 12, write an equation that is perpendiculars. So let's review what perpendicular means. So a kid-friendly version of perpendicular would be to take the slope, and you're going to, step 1, you're going to change the sign, and then step 2 is you're going to flip the slope upside down. So that means you're just going to flip the fraction upside down here. And then let's keep reading. With a y-intercept that is 5 less than the original. So that means we're going to have to take the y-intercept, and whatever that is, we need to do 5 less than that. We need to go further into the negative. So let's start with our given slope. Our given slope is -1/2, right? So let's see what our first step is. The first step said to change the sign. Well, it's negative, so we want to change the sign to a positive. So let's do this here. We'll do it down here. Y equals, it's going to be positive. And then we're going to flip this fraction upside down. So we've changed it to positive. Now let's turn that upside down. So positive 2 over 1 x. And then let's look at our original y-intercept was -12. But we need to go further into the negatives. We need to subtract 5 more from that. So -12 minus 5 will put you at -17. So if I were to clean this up, it would look like y equals 2x minus 17. Let's look at 3. Given the equation, -2x minus 4y equals 8, write an equation that is parallel and has the same y-intercept. Well, to be quite honest with you, same y-intercept, So we're just going to put this in y equals form. It's going to be impossible to write an equation that's parallel, and I'll show you why here, with the same y-intercept. But I've been telling you guys, you cannot do anything with an equation unless it's in y equals. This is not in y equals. I can't write a parallel slope. The slope is not -2. So we have to do move divide, right? So the first thing is move the x term to the other side. So since it's -2 on the left, you have to do opposites when you jump across to the other side. So we have 2x, the 8 is positive. Bring down the -4y. And then our last step is to divide by the coefficient. That is -4. So divide by -4, divide by -4, divide by -4. And we're left with y equals 2 divided by -4 is -1/2 x. 8 divided by -4 is -2. So this is our original equation. Now we can look at how do we do parallel. It needs to be the same slope. And think about it. If I use the same y-intercept, if I had 2 equations that were the same, they wouldn't be parallel. They would actually be right on top of each other. So really, in order to write an equation that is parallel, you must change the y-intercept. So in this case, we just wanted you to put it in y equals 4. Given the equation, so here's our original equation. Notice it is not in y equals. We have some stuff we're going to have to do here. Write an equation that is perpendicular. Remember, you have to do that, we'll call it change flip method. And it says with the same y-intercept. So we can actually do this with perpendicular. Parallel you can't, because you'll end up with 2 lines that are on top of each other. But notice that this is not in y equals. So this is not a move divide. This is just a move, because I don't have but just a 1 in front of y. I don't have to divide by 1 at the end. So let's just do opposites of -4. Let's just do +4, +4. And so you're left with 2x minus 4 on the right. Bring down the y. See how y is already in y equals? We're good to go. Now let's do our change flip with our slope. Well, notice the slope is positive. We need to change it to negative. But if I were to flip this 2, It's actually 2 over 1. If I were to flip that upside down, that would be 1 over 2. And we're going to use the same y-intercept. Notice that the equation in purple is not the same as the equation in green. That's why you can use the same y-intercept. So don't forget, change flip for perpendicular on the slope there. And 5, which answer choice correctly describes the inequality? This inequality does not have y by itself, so you have to do the move divide method. So let's do that first. Split it up, move the x term by doing opposites. The opposite of minus 4x is positive 4x. And then do 4x minus 8, bring down the negative 2y. I'm also going to go ahead and bring down my inequality sign. And then my last step, divide by the coefficient. Divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. And we have discussed previously that if you divide by a negative, the sign flips direction. And then I have y is less than. As soon as I get to this part here, I can answer the question. Now, if you want me to clean this up, I can. 4 divided by 2 is negative 2x. A negative divided by a negative is going to be positive. Y is less than. A less than means you have a dashed line, and less, if I were to write less than, means you're going to shade below. So solid line, no, a solid line is going to have the equal sign with it. So we know it's not solid, and we said that we're shading below, so our answer is D. Again, you cannot do anything until you get y by itself.